a brief talk about what makes 3D printing interesting and what trends are going on. And the trend that makes my heart tick at the moment is that the technology is getting very, very close to the general public, to us consumers, to you and I, basically. Like you said on this slide, you can see everyone is a maker. That's because the current latest 3D printers, the home 3D printers, are almost as easy to use as any inkjet printer we have at home. To create content to be printed on these machines, we have 3D scanners and 3D design software that's become very, very affordable, easy to use, and very easy to learn as well. In addition to this, we see online communities popping up where 3D designs made by designers are shared, and you can also download designs made by others. A new company called 3D Hubs is making a network of 3D printers where you can find the closest 3D printer in your neighborhood and have something printed just around the corner. It's true the start of local manufacturing. And last but not least, 3D concept stores are being opened all around the world where you can not only buy 3D technology, but you can truly experience it. You can just walk in and join a workshop and learn all about 3D printing and start being creative yourself. Like I said, everyone is a maker. I did a quick search on the internet on 3D printed instruments because that's what we're here to talk about further. On the sheet, you see some examples: a 3D printed guitar and a new wind instrument made by a Dutch designer with a 3D printer. And actually, from one of these online communities, I downloaded the file for a ukulele and printed it at my printer at home. So you see, the first step of our own manufacturing. Okay, but then you ask, are we going to print our own professional 3D printers? Well, not unless you have $1 million or so to spare. Because the machine you see in the slide as well, that's been used to make this, I'll pick it up now, this beautiful violin is a true industrial type 3D printer that's usually only made or used to manufacture medical applications like implants, or in the semiconductor industry, using a very high-grade plastic called PEEK. So what do you see after this machine does its trick? And the trick is it uses a laser to melt this powder into this beautiful violin. You see a cake of powder, basically, with the violin hidden in it. And by carefully removing all the powder that has not been melted by the laser, you end up with two 3D printed violins. So I'll hand it over to Joanna, who can tell you more about how it feels.
Is this like a €1 million violin?
Well, the machine that was used to build it was €1 million, yes.
Oh, okay, right.
But the violin itself will
and the material is very expensive.
The material is very, very expensive. So this violin will cost 10,000 to 20,000 euros too.
Okay, then I suggest you put it back. So the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and the proof of the violin is in the playing. So let's put it to the test. We have two violins. We have one 3D printed violin and one traditional violin. So we invited the very talented Joanna Wronko on stage to demonstrate and play on both of these instruments. Please welcome Joanna Wronko. And you're going to start with which instrument?
I will start with a 3D printed violin.
With the 3D.
And I will play for you one short piece. Half of it I will play on the 3D printed violin, and then I switch to the normal one, so you can, in a very close proximity, you can see the difference in sound.
Thank you, Joanna. I was pretty close. I was pretty nearby, so I could hear the difference also in volume. In, I think you call that the projection of the.
Yes, I mean, it's both. There are two different things. I mean, one very obvious thing is that the violin, the 3D printed violin, just sounds less. It's quite small in sound.
Right.
But it also doesn't really project. So right now we have mics. We have also a lot of extra noise. But normally the hall is used for the classical music concerts, and it's very beautiful for its acoustics.
Right. Normally, if you would play the violin, it wouldn't be mic'd. There wouldn't be like all these speakers. It would just be the violin, and that is something that you couldn't do right now with the. You wouldn't reach the people in the back, right?
I mean, we didn't really try it. It's an experiment, but I assume.
I am all for experiments. Could we? Kill the microphone, that doesn't sound very nice. Could you shut down the volume of Joanna's microphone and then just listen to the plain sound of the violin?
Okay.
Could you say something? All right. And now on the acoustic. I see people in the back going like, ah, thank you. One other thing that I noticed when you played the traditional violin, your whole body posture changed. You became one with the. Is it your own instrument?
Well, it doesn't belong to me, but I played for 8 years now.
It's yours.
And yeah,
right.
This is my baby.
Yeah, and that didn't happen with the 3D violin. You think is that possible that you become one with this instrument?
Wow, that's a big question. I think, very practical thing. It's just much heavier than the normal violin, so I can't imagine to play the whole long concert on it as I can do it with a normal violin. But I mean, there is a, you know, it's an incredible thing that it actually plays. I can't really believe that it sounds like a violin, actually. But it's missing a certain vibration. I mean, the very special thing about every wooden violin is that every is one of a kind because it's handmade. So every single instrument has spots and notes which are a little bit weaker, a little bit stronger.
Right.
So as a musician, when you get to know the instrument, you just look for the spots.
Each instrument has its character, and each 3D product would be the same as the other.
Exactly
is there something, especially that you could do with this violin that you couldn't do with the wooden? Is there? Okay, that's obvious.
I don't know. I mean, I was actually talking to a friend today, and she asked a similar question, you know, what it would be good for. And she made actually a point I didn't think about before, that maybe it could be used for non-classical music things, you know, for studio things, when it's actually amplified. Because it is so equal that you probably could modify the sound much more than the sound of a natural violin. But in classical music world, I would say no.
Right, so the ukulele is like 10 euros, and there we have the poor man's Stradivarius then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, time's up, but could you please just one encore on the 3D violin and then a short piece on the, on the wooden?
I will just play a short piece, Polish Capriccio, which will show you a little bit of a slow opening and virtuoso part, so to show you what the violin can do. Although you cannot really print imperfection, like on the violin, which the imperfection is that what gives beauty to music for me, but it's still quite astonishing.